everyone and welcome back to the channel. I assume that you all must have seen the previous videos and have got a glimpse about what is graphology. So taking you further on this journey, I would just like to recap what all we discussed in the previous videos. So first of all, we discussed about what is graphology. Graphology is a combination of two words, that is grapheria, which means to write, and logy means the study. So the study of that writing is actually called as graphology. Graphologists not only study the handwriting, but they also study the doodles that you make, the paintings and the sculptures, along with your signatures. And this graphology helps to know a lot about a person's personality, their mindset, their emotions, their feelings, and their changing mood as well. So moving further, then we discussed about what all are the applications of graphology. So we discussed that it has applications for the students who are confused about their career. Then we discussed about the working professionals who want some or the other kind of improvement in their life. And then we discussed about the entrepreneurs who want to know about their investors, their business partners, and of course, co-founders. The teachers and the parents who, using graphology, can get to know more about their students and can help their child in the right decision making. And finally, the HRs and corporates who can use these services for the employee recruitment so that they select the right and the best employee out of the pool of employees that they have. So today, we are going to discuss in today's lecture something really very interesting and important, that is the Graphology Pictograph. Yes, you heard it right. What does and how does this sheet of paper tell so much about a person? That is what we are going to look at, and in the further videos over the next few weeks, we are going to focus on that only. So there are different aspects which we can look at and that we are going to have a look. So first of all, what you require is a plain white sheet. I repeat, what you require is a plain unruled white sheet with no lines in it. I'll let you know the reason why I asked you to do so, because that will help you to look at some of the characteristics like the baseline, the spacing, the pressure, the size, and the margins on the sheet. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the baseline, and in the further subsequent videos, we'll be talking about all these different aspects of spacing, of margin, size, and of course, pressure. So, starting with what is the relevance of this white sheet that I asked you to carry? First of all, this white plain sheet defines your area of life and your surroundings. So looking at it as something which is somewhat like this picture is the area of your life, and the entire sheet defines your surroundings. The reason I asked you to have a plain sheet is because it's going to define how you utilize your environment, your surroundings, and how do you interact with all that stuff. So next, today we'll be looking in the video on the baselines. Now there are a number of baseline types that we can look at in handwriting. For example, you can look at the normal straight baseline, then there's a rigid baseline, there is descending baseline, there is ascending baseline, there is the arced or the convex baseline, there is the concave baseline, the erratic as well. So these are the different diverse kinds of baselines can be found in the handwriting samples of different individuals. However, we are just going to look at 3 of them today, and later on, if you want to know more about all these different kinds of baselines, then you are most welcome to join our classes. So today I'm going to give you a glimpse of the 3 basic types of baselines which can be commonly found in the handwriting of individuals. So let's have a look at the first one, that is the rigid or the straight baseline. What you have to do is take that sheet of paper and write any paragraph on it, but make sure you're not copying any paragraph from anywhere because it sometimes leads to misreading of that sheet. So whatever comes to your mind, just write it on the paper and then we are going to read it. So the first kind of baseline that we are going to see is the rigid or the vertical baseline. What is not important is how to determine this, but what is more important is to see how different individuals behave or what are their different personality characteristics based upon the kind of baseline they have. So if you notice in your handwriting sample, and if you see that all the lines or the sentences that you have written are exactly in a straight line, as if somebody has put a ruler on it and then you have written, or the way you write on a ruled sheet, it's just the same on the unruled sheet, then you fall in the first category of the rigid or the vertical baseline. It's also known as the straight baseline. In this type of baseline, what happens is these people are really very rigid about their routine. They want to follow a particular set of rules. They want to have a disciplined kind of a lifestyle. They have a lot of willpower and have constancy of purpose. And at the same time, since each coin has both the sides, the negative aspect of these people is that they are little inflexible. The reason being that they want to follow a specific routine every day. So whenever you'll ask them to change the routine, they'll probably not like that. So if you come across any person who writes with a straight baseline, then you can immediately get to know that this is a person who will like to follow the disciplined routine, the same routine, and will have a constancy of purpose. But they'll find it difficult and they'll be a little inflexible if you ask them to change. Alright, moving on to the second kind of the baseline. Now, we are going to look at the second kind of the baseline, which actually should not be there in your handwriting. Okay, so that is formed as you start writing a sentence which goes upwards towards the middle of the sheet, and towards the end of the sheet, it comes downwards. Again, the sentences are written in this format so that it forms an arc-like structure. It shows that the person wants to do something, but then again it's coming down. The second kind of is the convex baseline or the arced baseline. Alright, so it's forming a convex arc-like structure, right? What happens to these people is that they put in a lot of mental energy to do something. They start off with a task very enthusiastically. But towards the middle or during the course of the task, something or the other happens because of which their energy goes down, their enthusiasm loses, and they do not like to carry forward with the task. And all of that energy comes down because of that, they're not able to finish off the task with as much as amount of energy with which they started it off. So these people are good starters but bad finishers. So these are the characteristics of people who have this convex arc-like structure in the baseline or in the sentences that they're writing. And that's the reason that this baseline should not be there. Because you'll be motivated enough to start off with the task, but you won't be able to complete that task. So you'll require a push to do that, and generally you won't finish off or complete the task exactly with the same energy. Therefore, this baseline needs to be changed. Now, how do you need to change that? Or what's the ideal way that will give you so much of energy to reach out to your goals? That is the third kind of baseline that we are going to discuss today, which is the healthy baseline. Okay, why do we call it as the healthy baseline? The reason being that if you are not having that much amount of motivation to reach your goals, or if you're feeling a little depressed or lonely, then you can actually change that in your handwriting and bring about a change in your own feelings and mood, and of course in your mindset. So how do the people with healthy baseline write? You must have seen a lot of people when they start off with a sentence, it goes upwards towards the end. You see, if in your paragraph this is something what is happening, then this is called as the healthy or the ascending baseline. Whenever a person has some tendencies of depression, or they're not feeling good, or they're having negative thoughts in them, it's generally recommended that they change their baselines and practice writing in the ascending baseline form. What happens is these people are really very enthusiastic. They put in a lot of mental energy to achieve their goals. They're highly optimistic in their life. And they're very cheerful and hopeful as well. So when you actually do this in your work, when you have that motivation, when you have that enthusiasm to work towards your goals, it's actually going to do wonders to whatever work you are doing. That's because you have put in that positivity, enthusiasm, and cheerfulness in the work that you are doing. And that's why those who have a convex arc-like structure, whose baseline is going upwards and then coming down, or who has some depressive thoughts, loneliness, or negativity, they should practice writing with the ascending baseline. And you see the change. You'll actually notice change coming in your mindset and in your personality. So these are the three different kinds of baselines that we discussed today. There are others as well, as I told before, and if you want to learn more about it, then you can join our classes. But till then, just remember one thing, that each formation that you're making in your handwriting reveals a lot about your personality. An example of that we saw today in this video, wherein we saw what do the baselines reveal about in your handwriting. So the baselines in your handwriting actually tells how much mental energy you are putting in and what kind of mental energy you are putting in towards reaching your goals. Stay tuned for the further videos to learn more. I'll be coming up in the next few weeks about spacing, margins, pressure, size, and a number of other formations in your handwriting which you can see yourself and relate your personality traits to it. Till then, stay safe. Bye-bye.